All right, we're going to head deep into a tropical forest. And, forget about the big stuff like jaguars or monkeys for a minute. We're going to zoom way, way in to a microscopic drama, a silent, tiny battle for control that's playing out on a single leaf.
So, I want you to picture this. You see an ant, and it's just frozen, completely still. Its jaws are clamped onto the bottom of a leaf with this, unbelievable force. I mean, it's dead for sure. But this isn't just a random death. This ant has been positioned. It's been put there for a very specific and honestly kind of sinister reason. So right away, you've got to be asking, how in the world did it get here? I mean, ants are ground animals, right? They live in colonies down on the forest floor. Something made this ant climb up high, bite down hard, and die in this exact spot. So what was pulling the strings?
Well, the culprit is a parasitic fungus. Its official name is Ophiocordyceps, but you've probably heard of it by its much cooler name, the zombie ant fungus. And this thing, it's not an animal, not a predator like we normally think of. But man, it is one of nature's most incredible puppeteers. It doesn't just kill the ant, no. It turns it into a literal vehicle for its own survival.
Okay, so how does a tiny little fungus pull off such a crazy, complex heist? It all kicks off with one single microscopic spore and what is basically a perfectly planned invasion. Let's get into the anatomy of this takeover. This whole process is just a masterpiece of parasitic engineering, seriously. So first, a spore lands on the ant and just latches on. And it doesn't just hang out there. It actively starts to burrow inside using these tiny thread-like filaments called hyphae. Now here's the really clever part. Once it's inside, the fungus spreads out like a web, but it very carefully avoids all the vital organs. Why? Because it needs the ant alive and needs it walking around for what comes next, the manipulation.
Right. And this is where things go from biology to straight-up science fiction. The fungus is in, it's settled, and now it's time to get the ant to do exactly what it wants. So how does it actually seize the controls?
So for a long time, everyone just assumed, the whole zombie idea, that the fungus must be invading the ant's brain, right? Makes sense. But recent science has shown us something even crazier. The reality isn't a brain invasion, it's a body hijack. The fungus leaves the ant's brain completely intact. The ant is basically a prisoner in its own body, while the fungus grabs control of its muscles and nerves directly.
Okay, so how does it pull that off without touching the brain? Well, it has this amazing biochemical toolkit at its disposal. It starts releasing these neuroactive chemicals. It physically grows around the ant's muscle fibers to literally pull on them. It can even mimic the ant's own hormones to trick its body into doing things. It's just completely disrupting all the normal communication between cells. It is a total body takeover from the neck.
And once it's under this remote control, the ant's behavior just changes dramatically. It gets kicked out of its own colony, forced to just abandon everything it's ever known. It starts wandering around, totally erratically, until it gets one final irresistible command from its new master: climb. And we're not talking about just any random climb. The fungus is unbelievably precise. It manipulates the ant to go up to a very specific height, usually about 25 centimeters off the ground. And you gotta ask, why that specific height? Well, that's the sweet spot. It's the perfect little microclimate with just the right temperature and humidity for the fungus to do its thing. It's a brilliant illustration of the fungus's strategy. Think about it. The fungus doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have any senses of its own. So what does it do? It hijacks the ant's senses. It's literally using the ant as its own living, walking weather station to find the absolute perfect spot before it triggers the grand finale. So, once that perfect spot is found, the fungus issues its last command. It triggers this massive, convulsive contraction in the ant's jaw muscles, making it bite down on a leaf and never let go. This death grip is so ridiculously powerful that the ant stays locked right there long after it's actually died. Now, a relationship this complex, and let's be honest, this weird, doesn't just pop up overnight. This is the result of millions of years of silent, microscopic warfare, a true evolutionary arms race. And the key thing to get here is that this is a dynamic battle. It's constantly changing. For every new trick the fungus comes up with, the ants evolve a new defense. It's this constant push and pull, this back and forth, with each side forcing the other to get smarter and more sophisticated.
And don't think the ants are just helpless victims in all this. Oh no. Entire colonies have evolved these really clever social defenses. They can actually smell when one of their own is infected, and they will physically drag that ant far, far away from the nest to die alone. Some even create graveyards for the dead. And they learn which areas to avoid, where the spores are thick. It's like a form of social immunity for the whole colony.
But of course, the fungus adapts too. In response to these defenses, different species of this fungus have become hyper-specialized. I'm talking one fungus species for one single ant species. This lets them get really, really good at creating the perfect chemical cocktail to hijack that one specific host, getting around its unique defenses. Okay, so the ant is dead, it's locked in place, the story's over for the ant. But for the fungus, this isn't the end, it's the beginning. This is where death paves the way for new life. With the ant perfectly positioned on its high perch, the fungus finally uses up the last of the body's resources, and it grows this long stalk, often right out of the back of the poor ant's head. This stalk is basically a launch tower. It's designed to rain down a whole new shower of infectious spores onto all the healthy, unsuspecting ants walking around on the forest floor below. And just like that, the cycle begins all over again. Now, I know this all sounds pretty gruesome, and it is. But this whole process actually plays a really important role in the ecosystem. The fungus helps keep ant populations under control so no one species can just take over. And, by doing its thing, it helps with nutrient cycling and actually maintains the incredible biodiversity of the entire forest. So what's the big lesson here? What should you take away from all this? Well, the zombie ant fungus teaches us something pretty profound about biology. It shows us that complex behavior isn't just cooked up in the brain. The body itself, the nerves, the muscles, all the chemicals flowing around, can be the driver. Or, in this case, a completely hijacked vehicle. And that leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending thought. This fungus has no brain. It has no central nervous system at all. And yet it has evolved into a master behavioral engineer. It's just a powerful reminder that control is way more fluid, way more spread out than we usually think. I mean, if an organism this simple can completely take over an animal this complex, it really makes you ask, where does control truly lie?